Okay, now we're going to make the connections to the power supply. The two main leads coming from the main power of the drivers. I already cut the length all these guys here. These are from the fan, the two fans. They get soldered together, and then heat shrink tubing put over them, and then it comes up to here. One thing to remember when you're doing the heat shrink, you can't see it because I have a double layer on this, but first you obviously solder together both positives and then both negatives, and then you got to make sure that when you put the main leads coming from there, that if they are two wires that are kind of like a two ribbon cable, okay, if they're connected and you want to keep them connected, you got to put a section of the smaller heat shrink tubing on before you make that solder connection, otherwise you can't get it on there. And then I put one bigger one over both individual just to seal it all up. Alright, so the connections we're doing right now is the V plus, the main power coming from the drivers, or coming to the drivers, goes there, and the fan positive goes right next to it. Okay, we'll do that first. See if we can do this one-handed. I'm not going to be able to crimp it down all the way, but we'll get it started. Okay, and then the V minus there, that's the ground, or the negative side, I should say, of the main power. That one goes in there first. I'll get these in there better once the camera's down. And then this one goes in there. Okay. There we go. After you get those in there, here's what I use for a power cord on mine. Okay. Now, I have it wired directly to power here. So as soon as this is plugged in, there's power. What I expect people to do, or what I'm telling people to do, is you can either modify it yourself, put some kind of switch in there, or make yourself an outlet that has a switch. Okay, a switched outlet. That's your best bet. Those on-off switches that can connect to the headers, sometimes I've noticed sometimes they're poorly made and they can heat up and cause failures, and I don't want that on my conscience, that any of you guys that buy the full controllers from me, that anything happens. So I wire these permanently, or direct I should say, right there. So we have 3 wires on the back of this thing, and it is black, white, and green. Black for house wiring is universal for hot or line. Okay, that's your power. White is universal for neutral. And then green is your ground. So the way it's lined up right here is the order, is the correct order. Okay. And those guys go in there. Once you have that on, I have 4 holes right here that wire ties go to as a cable string. So that'll zip tie that down. Then I have these nice covers that go over there. Okay. And there are slots where M4 by 8mm screws go. I use button heads because they're a little bit flatter. Okay, and then the back piece has the cutaway for the fan, and it has the same thing. There's slots that line up with some M4 by 8 or M4 holes for M4 by 8 screws. What that looks like when we're all done is this. There's your 2 zip ties holding that cable steady, so you don't have to worry about it ripping the wires out of there. There's the two wires going in there. And that is how the main power gets connected to your Demon controller.